When I received Atelier Sophie 2, I was also pleasantly surprised that I'd also received the season pass for it that meant I could fully explore all the content the game had to offer, which was naturally very exciting as an Atelier fan. In that pass, there was a particular piece of DLC that caught my eye. There was the story DLC in the form of Atelier Plachta. That DLC is finally out now, so I had to take a look at it, especially after enjoying the Atelier Claudia spin-off in Atelier Ryza a couple of years ago. Since Plachta's skills are based in alchemy and battles, Atelier Plachta goes even further than the Lost Character DLC, creating a new map to explore the dreamland of Sophie 2 that once again uses the dream part of it to create a colorful world that is a lot of fun to run around in. It also gives good insight into Plachta's character that makes certain events from the main game hit even harder, so much so that I think it creates a good opportunity to do a second playthrough, as it could make certain events feel even deeper. Overall, it's a fun piece of voice DLC that has enough content to make it feel worth it in my eyes, and is a great new way to remind yourself of why Atelier Sophie 2 was so much fun in the first place. The Atelier Plachta DLC shifts the story's focus onto Sophie 2's second star, and puts us back in the timeline of Sophie 2 to where Plachta enters the dream world, showing her humble beginnings as a young alchemist excited to enter a new world. Her start is a little different to Sophie's though, as she discovers a unique area needing two of Roytel's inhabitants, the familiar Ramizel and Diabolt, to take her to town away from this dangerous place. In this 2 to 3 hour campaign, it tells the story of this new area and how Plachta got started in Roytel, all linking perfectly into Atelier Sophie 2 as we discover new details about some of the lovable characters while exploring a colorful and new material-filled area. With this premise in place, this DLC story got me excited as someone who loved Sophie 2, as it almost acts as a parallel to when Sophie enters the world as well. While they enter with different circumstances, seeing Plachta's excited discovery of Roytel and the people that help her out is very reminiscent of the starting moments that Sophie had too, that make the journeys feel connected even before they've met. We also get to see Plachta with a more bubbly side and learn a bit about how she became the more serious Plachta we see in the main story of Sophie 2, and to see this version of her is incredibly adorable that complements the feeling of the bright Candyland surrounding her, along with Ramizel and Diabolt, which of course were lovely to see in a bright and fun scenario as well. It's a great complement to the main Atelier Sophie 2 story that managed to add more meaning to its ending that gives this DLC the potential to push over those who are considering a second playthrough, as I can see it adding depth to various events throughout the main story. All in all, it was a joy to spend more time with the wonderful cast of Sophie 2 that reminded me exactly why I loved it in this bright and enjoyable new chapter that I'm glad could add to an already great world. The meat and potatoes of the Atelier Plachta DLC is the new area to explore in this alternate world, a colorful world full of candy and nostalgia that creates for many enjoyable events. It's still in the world of Atelier where plenty of materials and monsters reside, so you can once again expect to use Sophie 2's enjoyable gathering, synthesis, and battle mechanics that are just as fun to play with here. They are slightly restricted compared to the main game due to the fact that Plachta has just arrived in this world and therefore isn't equipped with an entire bag of goodies to be able to pick up every single thing on this map, although you can at least craft up a fishing rod if only to see Plachta partake in the task, and you can also access a couple of the main areas for extra gathering too. But for the items you need to create to get through this DLC, what you can pick up and create in the new area is more than enough to get through it with, especially if you take advantage of auras and weaknesses like you would in the main game anyway, and there's even treasure to find that encourages you to explore the map and makes up for the fact that you can't make equipment that means I never felt restricted in this chunk of the world. In fact, I found the area fun to explore with its big slide spots waiting in the distance that did see me stray off the track multiple times to slide down them, as those sparkles really did make them quite tempting, and the treasure everywhere always had me feel like I was finding secrets that made me not care it was full of similar monsters and only a few new materials. This is probably why my overall time in the DLC was about 3 hours, although with less treasure hunting and synthesizing, I'm sure you could complete it in about 2, with some of that also being taken by running back and forth as there's no fast travel. The slides seem to actually be put in to reduce travel time, but the running does add up that bloats this DLC time slightly unnecessarily. However, I hadn't played Sophie 2 in a while, so I really didn't mind revisiting parts of the world by doing it. For me, this chunk of Sophie 2's world in Plachta's chapter felt just right to explore, and was just long enough for me to enjoy it without feeling like there was too much of the same, and the fact it showed me different sides of characters I loved in a colorful place made it feel like an experience that I felt was worth the time I put into it. It's a bit of Sophie 2 fun that's good if you miss the experience that I think makes it worth jumping back into, especially as it's also a good way to get a few items to complete final friendship events in the main game once you've finished 2. One of the things that's been stuck in the back of my mind since finishing Atelier Sophie 2 was that I had just one final friendship event left to do in the main game, which was Plachta's, by the way, so once I got sucked back in by this DLC again, I decided that this was the day I would do it, and thanks to Atelier Plachta I did, as the area that unlocks for the main game is also an incredibly useful gathering area. The area you play with in Plachta's chapter becomes available in the main game once you clear it, which allows you to run through with Sophie's full backpack of tools and grab everything you can fit into your basket, along with a couple of recipes to make useful battle items with too. The recipes were cute and colorful as you'd expect, but the most exciting part for me was that with my level 3 tools, I could finally get the items I needed to complete Plachta's final friendship quest, and with a variety of items to find on the field, I'm sure it can help with other things like quests too, so there's definitely main game use to get out of it if you choose to get it. I should say that I could have gotten the items I needed from other areas too, but it was a nice coincidence that they were in this new place that pushed me into putting an hour into the main Sophie 2 game that I wasn't planning on doing, so I would call that proof that it can add to a playthrough by giving you a good and convenient place to gather, and it's so bright and fun to look at that it feels fun to pick up stuff there too. Whether you're looking at Atelier Plachta to boost the narrative of Sophie 2 or to have a fuller feeling game, I'm glad that it was able to help me get to a point where I feel like I've completed Sophie 2 to the exact point I wanted to. It also gave me some fun-filled hours back in one of my favorite games from this year that I'm glad to have been able to spend more time with, that makes it a good post-game experience for those missing Atelier, at least until we hopefully hear about what will come next in the series soon. It's a fun mini-adventure that can give you a few hours back in this fun world if you have them, so if you like Plachta, want to enrich the main story, or think this new DLC looks interesting, I'd say definitely give it a look, and now that my Atelier Sophie 2 experience is complete, it really has me looking forward to seeing what will come from the series next, as I can't wait to play more Atelier. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below if you'll try the Atelier Plachta DLC, and if you have, what did you think of it? You can like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel for more JRPG content like this, and ring that bell to get notifications on whenever I post so you don't miss a thing. You can check out more videos here, and you can find me on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at JRPG Jungle. Links to those will be in the description below, and until next time, thank you, bye!